Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the critically acclaimed Pop the Trunk Podcast Hall of Fame. Recency Bias Radio with me, of course, as your humble host, Dave Smith, Pretty Boy Smitty, Protocol Paul, Pearl Game Ultra, Smith Dog Trill, The Rant God, Hotep Thanos, all of the above on that ISAT test and ACT. You know what it is. And this is your number one source for everything rants concerning sports and television in the YouTube lexicon, Coach, here to break down and recap season 35, episode 6 of Challenge Total Madness, ladies and gentlemen. This rant will be entitled, What Are the Rules? Because it looked like Jay didn't know what he was doing. I mean, he got in one body lock suplex by Rogan, ladies and gentlemen, and it seems like he forgot everything about the competition he was in, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, I want y'all to understand something. Coming off of last week's rant, I'm gonna give y'all a little bit of that Josh bashing later. Don't get it twisted, all right? I know my bread is buttered, but for the people that want me to just defend Jay's honor all day, we gotta hold Jay accountable tonight, Coach. Because I was seeing people last week calling for Rogan's head. There was people coming out of the woodwork talking about, oh man, well, I wouldn't mind seeing Rogan eliminated or suspended for that. He tried to hurt him on purpose. And see, I wanted to be very reserved with how I went about breaking down that situation, mainly because we were left with a cliffhanger. Ever since we've gotten 90-minute episodes, ladies and gentlemen, especially in this era post 90 minutes, we haven't really got many of these cliffhangers. One could argue we got 90-minute episodes to get rid of this cliffhanger factor. So I am here to tell you all, the rant tonight, I'm gonna make wine out of water tonight. Because tonight's episode was completely filler in my opinion. I'd argue the only reason why we got a cliffhanger last week is because production knew this week's episode would be bad if it was standalone and separated from Jay's elimination against Rogan. Understand, if that would have gotten finished last week and we would have moved into this week with a completely new thought and not thought that Jay may have been hurt to make us want to tune in early, I have reason to believe a lot of people wouldn't even finished watching this episode. It was that rough. I gotta be honest with you. But to be fair, when the Red Skull twist is so bogus, when it is so broken, when it is a glorified cosmetic placebo effect in this game strategically, I'd argue the fans are starting to lose passion for this season because they are seeing you get no positive reinforcement for trying to compete, and the only people being rewarded so far are the people who don't want to compete. And that is what we are watching. So it's quite ironic to me that Jay gets slammed in the first round. The second and third round happens. Jay is completely gun shy now. All he wants to do is shoot 3-point shots. Coach, it's not extra points for trays, Coach. Someone needs to let Jay know. This man was pulling from 25 feet like he was Dame Dollar. My guy. Dog, all you gotta do is lay it up, Coach. And see, I don't want to hear people talking about this bully talk any further. Rogan did not bully this man. Jay matched his energy. During the episode Jay took out CT, I gave Jay credit for standing up to Rogan, didn't I? Okay then, if you're gonna give him credit for standing up to him, you gotta also go, oh man, when it was time to really stand up to a mano-a-mano, you kinda mentally checked out. And see, the thing is, I rock with Jay. Once again, I think he's a breath of fresh air. I think he's the Trojan horse for more Survivor players to be on this show. But this is the platform where no one is safe from criticism, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm not gonna hold my tongue just because of who he was aligned to this season. Let's call a spade here. Jay did everything but quit tonight, and in my opinion, that's a quit. And Jenna basically did everything but quit tonight. In my opinion, that is also a quit. Because mentally, you are willing to check yourself out. Mentally, you're willing to not fight as hard as you came into that comp willing to fight. And that's my problem. And see, there are people right now coming for Rogan's neck when at the end of the day, Coach, put yourself in Rogan's shoes. Some new guy, some new kid on the block comes into the fray. Yeah, I might be flirting with someone, but at the end of the day, me and this girl, we ain't 100% done yet. You come into the game, you start kissing on her, I'm hating. Okay? Every dude can relate to that in some way, shape, or form. Now, I would have preferred Rogan just took the red pill and not hated on Jay, because I spoke on that earlier. But at the same time, understand that this was a storyline that needed to be bookended, and in my opinion, Jay did he did himself a disservice by going out the way he went out. I have no problem with you being too hurt to continue, but when you make no effort to use your quickness advantage on the bigger man, when you don't even attempt to hit him with a few quick moves see, the argument is his arm is hurt, not his legs are hurt. So in my opinion, he at least should have used one of them rounds to be herky-jerky Barry Sanders, try to get this big dude in Rogan to mess up. You get a little bit of separation, you score. Now on defense, you're SOL because you got a bad arm and the ball's on fire and he's stronger than you. You're not going to stop him from scoring on defense, but at least on offense, Jay owed it to himself to score. And the people that defend Jay to the point where they want to vilify this dude Rogan, I think they're doing Jay a disservice because in my opinion, Jay as a competitor, you are dwarfing him as a competitor by making it seem like Rogan just bullied him. Give Jay his due by admitting Rogan was just a better man. And that's how I look at it. But it was a bit off-putting, in my opinion, to see Jay kind of just relegate himself to the idea of, I can't beat this guy. It got to a point where he was asking production what the rules are. Ladies and gentlemen, this isn't the most complicated, this isn't a 20-piece puzzle. We're talking about grab a ball, put it in the hoop. We've been playing basketball since kindergarten, coach. For him to ask what the rules were, listen, Jay, you should have been asking TJ what the rules were on the Red Skull, coach. Because that was the question that you needed to ask a long time ago. Because that's the one question you should have been asking. But for the competition, for him to ask what the rules were, look, I don't want to throw Jay under the bus, but I felt like that was him going out of his way to make it seem like he possibly could have a concussion. Because it's like, whoa, I don't know where I am. Now all of a sudden I'm asking a question that should be pretty rhetorical. It was Jay's way of of losing, but trying to put himself over as still strong in a L. So I want you all to understand that I'm disappointed in the way Jay took that L. I would have preferred he lost and he just lost. The way they kind of just waved it off. It was kind of like Nate Diaz versus Masvidal. Oh, he has a cut above his eye. Let's wave the fight. Man, we want to see the BMF get crowned. Y'all been talking a whole bunch of hot stuff on both ends up until this fight. We don't want to see no one in a hospital, no one in an emergency room, but we want to see somebody get their lights put out a little bit because we want that payoff. And I feel like no matter what side you are on, whether you're on Rogan's side or Jay's side, that's the payoff we wanted and we didn't get. And that's very unfortunate, ladies and gentlemen. But let's continue. I just wanted to book in that storyline. We will see Jay in the future. And to be completely honest with you, outside of what he did in that competition against Rogan, I have nothing bad to say about Jay's game. I think everyone pretty much bullied him, but I think everyone's trying to pin the bully title strictly on Rogan just because it's easy, because he suplexed him. At the end of the day, you got to pin the bully title on all the people who voted for him. That's what you do. You don't just look for a scapegoat and blame Rogan because you don't like him. That's not how I gets down. Now, after Jay's gone, this is where a lot of cowards like to finally give their opinion on things, and we saw Kyle come out of his way to call Jay arrogant. Now, I don't have no problem with Rogan calling Jay arrogant, which he did. He agreed with Kyle here. But I do have a problem with Kyle saying this. You know why? I'm going to bring up the obvious. Remember when Jay took out CT? I believe it was the next episode, Kyle started kissing Jay's ass by saying, hey, welcome to the knocked out CT club. Remember he said that? When we all know he cried himself to sleep that night because his daddy CT was eliminated. Okay, so that was Kyle trying to put himself over as strong by acting like he had something in common with Jay. Well, why after Jay gets eliminated, because all of you picked on him strictly off the strength of him being new, why all of a sudden does Kyle call him arrogant when, newsflash Kyle, newsflash, Jay took out CT 1v1 in a competition that was based around CT's skill set. Kyle, you needed JP to be in that competition with you. I remember that. And isn't it the only season that guy was ever on because he pissed off a production pet in CT? So understand, ladies and gentlemen, the one challenge win Kyle has under his belt where you can say, hey man, that was impressive. It was a 3-way fight. So it wasn't as if CT had all his attention on what Kyle was doing there. But Kyle is portraying himself to be on that level of being capable of taking out CT when we all know the truth is he needed JP to be a distraction for him to take out CT, the same way Nelson needed the leader of the Lavender Ladies, the same way he needed that dude to be a distraction to take out Corey. Okay? All of this goes back full circle. So when people try to act like they're on someone's level, when they didn't take you out mano a mano, I don't ride with that. I don't rock with that. And I thought Kyle was clout chasing a bit there. And I thought he read the room and he said, oh, we're all bashing him today? Okay, I'm going to bash him too. That's what Kyle decided to participate in. I don't rock with that. Because as you saw tonight, Kyle doesn't really do anything well. So for him to call anyone arrogant when I'd argue Jay has accomplished more in 5 episodes than Kyle has in, 5 seasons, I think that's a bit crazy to me. I think that's a bit crazy. But that's another thing that was on my mind, ladies and gentlemen. But I am happy about the fact that Jay isn't hurt. That is the most important thing about all of this. The man didn't get hurt. He can play in a future season. He didn't have anything broken, okay? That's what we need to be happy about the most, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, I am a little worried, though, about, from a mental standpoint, how quickly he was willing to just check out and just concede to Rogan there. Now let's go ahead and get into Jenna. Let's get into Jenna. As I told you all, tonight's episode was a little bit filler, so I'm doing my best to give y'all a great rant despite not having much to go off of here. We didn't get a new elimination tonight, okay? And I think that is very telling that the week following is either going to be very jam-packed with a guy and a woman going home, or it's not going to be that good either because they left us on another cliffhanger. But in Jenna's case, I think Jenna, and I put this in the description box, I think Jenna is ruining the reputation of production pets worldwide. Now, remember in the last rant, I went out of my way to mention how, look, if Bailey gets preferential treatment and it leads to her being a production pet, that's fine, because at the end of the day, she'll be one of the few production pets that actually earned it. Remember how I brought that up? It's almost as if I saw all this coming, because you got Jenna here, someone who was a production pet by proxy simply because her boyfriend was a former winner. Her boyfriend last season did everything in his power to essentially sabotage his team because he worked against their best interests simply because he was butthurt about the fact that his alliance didn't control the game in the second half of it. So instead, he basically allowed Jordan to flip to the other side, and he started rooting for that side to win the game. So that's Zach's mentality. So understand, his lady being a quitter isn't that far-fetched. And then for her to contemplate quitting simply because she wants to save her relationship, Jenna, you're one hell of a catch. I don't know why you're so caught up and you're so pining over this Zach guy, but he's quite an a-hole to tons of women everywhere. If I'm being honest with you, he's a total a-hole. You know, he's a lot like Jordan. And in fact, I brought up a lot of ways how they're very similar. So in my opinion, I don't understand, her and Tori are in the sunken place a bit. Now, I get Tori's climbing. I'm not really hating on that. If that's your strategy outside the game, go ahead and implement it, coach. But in terms of Jenna, very successful. She's modeling. She's doing all these things. She doesn't need this guy, Zach. For her to be willing to quit just to go back to him, look, now this could have all just been some ploy by production to try to generate some drama because they knew this episode would be boring if Jenna didn't call up Zach over FaceTime. Now, that could be one theory. But at the end of the day, coach, Jenna has been on countless seasons. She has never really made it over that hump. She ticks all of the boxes. You know, when I talk about how Bailey has the potential to be this great player because she ticks all these boxes and she doesn't have to rely on these stereotypes, Jenna in a lot of ways has that going for her too. But her biggest distraction is Zach, right? I feel like if Jenna would go into one of these seasons single, not ready to mingle, and just focused, she has Laurel-esque potential. The problem is, I don't think she has that edge Laurel has, and Laurel's like 4 inches taller, maybe 5. So, yeah, but the killer instinct is a problem with Jenna, and it all rigged its ugly head tonight. And see, what disgusts me is, you got fans who hate on players, just hate on them. And then when one of their favorites contemplates quitting, they try to sweep it under the rug and make it seem like it's not a bad idea because they decided not to quit. The fact that this was even a storyline is a terrible look for Jenna. It's a terrible look. And when you add to the fact that Kayla's cheating on her boyfriend at home with Bear, and now Zach is accusing Jenna of doing the same thing, ladies and gentlemen, birds of a feather usually flock together. And Jenna had several confessionals telling the world she was very apprehensive about what Kayla was doing with Bear, but she never could reel that in and get her to be on the straight and narrow path. Now, you could say Kayla's a grown woman. She's going to make grown woman decisions. Jenna cannot get in the way of those decisions. But you're supposed to be this Holy Trinity alliance. You're portraying yourself to be they're portraying themselves to be the anti-Paulie and Cara alliance of a season ago. I must go back to this because this was an initial point I made, I think, on my second rant this season. When you portray yourself to be holier than thou, you portray yourself to be the purest of pure. Pure people don't quit. Pure people don't cheat. You see what I'm saying? And we all know Nani. At any drop of a hat, Nani, she'll drop what she's doing and she'll become one of Banana's angels. Okay? So at the end of the day, for them to name themselves the Holy Trinity, but for these women to be involved in the drama that they're in, I mean, Nani got into a fight with Maddie 2 weeks ago, losing her stuff. Maddie didn't fire the fire extinguisher, Bear did. She went off on Maddie about that. So understand, all these women are crazy in this alliance, but they're trying to portray themselves as being better than everyone else. And see, I don't mind you if you own it. But when you habitually line step, which is what I talk about a lot on these rants, I can't respect it. And for Jenna, playing all these seasons, she's a mouthpiece for production. Hell, let's be honest, she is a member of production by proxy. When there is no cameraman around, she is one of the people that they trust to bring information back to her. And I'm going to get into the Jordan and Bailey stuff later, ladies and gentlemen, so just wait on that for a second. But what I want y'all to understand is, ladies and gentlemen, this all goes back to why I said fresh blood is needed from a production pet standpoint. Fresh blood is needed because you got a lot of burnt out old heads. No disrespect to them, but unless they've won a season before, their story simply is, can they pull it off one day? And odds are they're not, because they're just getting older. And they're just getting slower from a sprinting perspective. Now, if you're a Wes, if you're a Bananas, if you are a transcendent talent on this show, you can come back in your 40s and you can still perform like Jordan on the Wizards. You could still make an all-star game. That's possible for them. And by the way, I'm going to get into why Wes is now number one in my power rankings. Because what Wes pulled off tonight, ladies and gentlemen, number one, Swaggy, he did a great job of planting seeds with us. A great job planting seeds with us. I mean, through several different social media networks and accounts, he's been telling us about how he's known Wes for a while now. A lot of people didn't believe it. They thought Swaggy was trying to take credit for things he didn't do. It's funny. People hate it when Swaggy takes credit for stuff he doesn't do, but they let Josh get a pass for taking credit for stuff he never did. Things that make you say, But at the end of the day, people are mad at Swaggy because he's telling people, hey, I'm a legit historian of this game. I know people. And in tonight's episode, it backs up everything Swaggy said last week about Josh being an idiot, about him trying to mend fences with him and Wes, because Wes goes out of his way to mention how he's working with Swaley. And because Wes is working directly with Swaley, ladies and gentlemen, that one move alone, behind Banana's back, in my opinion, is the reason why Wes has to be number one now on the power rankings list. I now have a three-way tie for second place between Corey, Bananas, and Swaggy, and I have Rogan in a third place now, coming off winning his Red Skull. I think it's only fair that we have that three-way tie at second, because Bananas, for the most part, treaded water tonight. He could have easily have won the competition and been part of the tribunal, but he didn't. Jordan and Nani did. But he hasn't lost any ground, really. Wes just gained ground. And that's just really what it comes to. And because Wes gained ground with Swaggy, Swaggy had to move up as well. You feel what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen? Now, I know some people could argue, well, Dave, why don't you just have Swaggy and Corey tied at third and give Bananas that solo spot at second? It's because at the end of the day, what Swaggy was able to accomplish and to have Wes confirm it to the world, which does what, ladies and gentlemen? It gives Swaley the exact rub-off Josh was trying to force a rivalry out of Wes to get a week ago. So while Josh is trying to force clout on his name, somehow Swaley managed to commandeer his entire dream strategic scenario. They happen to commandeer it by accident by playing well. On purpose. You see that, ladies and gentlemen? When you play well on purpose, good things happen to you. But when you play like a buffoon all the time, you have limited options to pivot because people don't trust you because you're erratic and emotional. And while production may be relying on certain stereotypes with Bailey to make her look like the angry black woman stereotype, let's be honest, would Wes work with an angry black woman? No. He would work with a woman who clearly he sees potential in, the same way he saw the same potential in D a few seasons ago. So understand, Wes doesn't work with women all willy-nilly, okay? I want people to understand that. And also understand the dichotomy of Wes working with Swaley, and then the same episode, Jordan starts something with Bailey. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm calling BS here. I led right into it, coach. I think production tipped Jordan off to what Wes is doing. Because, let's be real, last episode, Wes targeted Jordan, tried to be part of the tribunal to go for Jordan, didn't work in his favor because Swaggy did very well in the competition, which led to Josh making it about himself, correct? Well, if this is the next episode after that, Jordan is still thinking about Wes in his head. And he is trying to protect Tori by proxy, who Wes mentioned in his argument with Jordan. Follow me here. You see what I'm saying? So isn't it a bit convenient that all of a sudden, Jordan, who's in 2 different heats, by the way, so he has 2 chances to be part of this tribunal, which he was part of the tribunal anyway. Isn't it a bit suspicious that Jordan would blow this entire scenario, this whole situation out of proportion with Bailey? Isn't it a bit suspicious when he already knew he had a good time with Nani in his pocket? Jordan, what are you mad about? I call BS here, yo. I think production tipped him off to what Bailey is doing behind the scenes with Wes, and that made him dislike her by proxy, and he used that competition as his excuse to essentially come for her. And see, here's my problem with Jordan. Jordan does this all the time. It doesn't matter how many comps you've been successful in the past. If you do bad at one comp and he sees it, he acts like everything you've done up to that point, your entire resume don't exist. He acts like it doesn't exist. He acts like whatever you did in the recent, you're only as good as your last game. That's how Jordan plays. By the way, I seen that haircut tonight. I seen what y'all talking about. He looked like a damn fool out there. But let's get back to the whole strategy side of it. Understand, I don't believe in coincidences, and if you do, I got some oceanside property in Wyoming to sell you, coach. For Jordan to start this with Bailey right after Wes confirmed to production he was working behind Bananas, and which means behind the vets, to work with Swaley. I don't believe in no coincidence here. I think 100% they told Jordan. This may have pissed off Jordan, because understand, they definitely had his back versus Turbo. So understand, Jordan is the returning winner. They got his back. Now, once again, they have Wes's back as well, and that's why you didn't see production choose a side, and that's why you didn't see Tori get in between. So understand, ladies and gentlemen, whenever there are 2 Apex production pets going at it, no one can really get involved because they reveal their hand. And see, this is the thing. Production is allowed in this one moment to choose a side because Wes has bucked their idea of what they of how they want Wes to play this season. You understand that? If production had it their way, Wes would essentially plug in to where Laurel was in this same exact alliance last season. That's what they would want. Essentially, all the vets to work together against the other team. But Wes, he is implementing a mighty middle strategy of working with Swaley's side, but while also working with Banana's side. And see, here's the thing. Here's what's so ingenious about Wes's gameplay. Timing. While Josh is in a rush to get game moves made for him, Wes turned down an alliance with Corey, Nelson, Faisal, and Swaggy because he knew an alliance with just Swaley was better. He chose 2 allies he could trust over 4 that may have been strong, but he may not have been able to trust. You see that subtle nuance of strategy? This is what we want out of more players moving forward. We want them to earn the right to be production pets based off of them having a gameplay that is irreplaceable. The Jennas of the world are replaceable. I'm sorry, they are. The Tories of the world, replaceable. The only thing that makes her seem irreplaceable is her fiance being on the show. But when you talk about a Bailey, when you talk about a Swaggy, it's turning into Faisal. He's starting to get himself a nice reputation here. People are kind of scared of Faisal, low-key, from a one-on-one perspective. KC is starting to win challenges. She's starting to just pull him out left and right. She's starting to do her thing. I'm not even going to throw shade at her no more. She's starting to prove herself more and more, okay? So understand, every Big Brother person who has come on this show has proved themselves besides Josh. When you really break this down, every Big Brother person who has ever been on the challenge has proved themselves. Davon, Jose. Let's keep it real. Jose played a far more strategic game than Josh has ever played. And I know I'm not trying to make this about sexuality. I'm just saying that at the end of the day, coach, there's levels to this. And just because someone gets brought back season after season does not mean they're good. And we are seeing that now with a Jenna. She gets brought back whenever she wants to come back, and she doesn't even have the passion to continue with $1 million on the line. She's being told by her man that she cheated on him, and she's in a rush to give up $1 million to go back to him and prove she ain't sleeping with nobody. But this is the girl trying to tell Kayla about how she needs to conduct her relationship. Your relationship is in shambles. So, I'm mentioning all of this just to say, there's a lot of people who think they are experts on things until they got to deal with the problem. Then all of a sudden it's, oh, well, you see what I'm saying, coach? Now, at the end of the day, coach, this all leads me into the Jordan-Bailey argument. Now, to be fair to all of you, Jordan didn't really say much to her that warranted the reaction that I saw from her. Which is why, once again, ladies and gentlemen, we need to pay very close attention to what is going on. We need to pay very close attention to what Bailey has to say about this episode specifically on all of her social media platforms, because I know she will give you all the necessary tea, coach. Sip slowly. It's going to be hot. You feel a dig me, coach? And we have reason to believe if production is sneaky enough to maybe coin Jordan on to what Wes is doing behind the scenes with Swaley. I mean, come on, ladies and gentlemen. It's highly probable that they could have also hidden whatever inflammatory comments Jordan may have or may have not said towards Bailey. Because, I mean, I'm seeing Bailey crying as TJ is announcing who won the competition. Ladies and gentlemen, Bailey doesn't just cry like that for no reason. I watch live feeds with this lady. At the end of the day, she doesn't break down unless she has a valid reason, okay? Like, don't believe these live feed supercuts. Don't believe them. Don't believe them. Now, but with that said, though, I do hope Bailey is able to keep her emotions in check more, because I saw the preview. It seems that this is the midway point of the season, ladies and gentlemen, because it looked as if Bailey was essentially saying, I can't stand these people. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to see her be this emotional wreck back and forth, because we saw that out of Davon for the most part, her first time around. I don't really want to see that, coach. But at the same time, though, the fact that I know that she's working with Wes, it doesn't make me worried. It doesn't make me worried at all. But you know what this does tell me? This explains even further why Josh is hating on Swaley. If Wes is willing to admit he's working with them to production, Josh has to see them have these talks with just the three of them alone. Woo out the bam. I think Josh is jealous, man. And now it all adds up. Everything adds up now. I'm not going to make this about Josh again. I'm going to leave it there. But I'm just telling y'all, everything makes sense now. And then you got TJ. Soon as TJ finds out Jenna's contemplating quitting, he comes out the woodwork, he's salty. Because, you know, TJ's been that guy trying to force people to make bad game decisions. Oh, Swaggy, come on down, face your ally, eliminate him, and get a red skull that does nothing for your game moving forward. Go ahead and do that so you could be sitting back down here. I would love that, right? He's trying to position this as, oh, I tried to make this the most competitive season ever, and I'm hearing about people quitting. Well, TJ, that's on y'all, because y'all made it y'all personal goal not to bring back any of Paulie and Kara's alliance. Y'all decided to bring back nothing but the other alliance that opposed them, that they outsmarted. And these seem to be the majority of the people playing scared. So I don't even know why TJ's mad. He created this monster. You know, I saw somebody on social media say something, well, TJ is the one who created the idea of Total Madness's finals, so that's why he's taking it so personal that people aren't thirsty to get a red skull, because it guarantees you're in TJ's final. And I'm thinking, yeah, but TJ's twist is trash, though. And I ain't even mean to use too much alliteration, coach. I'm just being honest. TJ's twist is trash. That's just what it is. If your twist is trash, how do you expect me to run through a brick wall for it? Like, hey man, hey, listen, coach. Hey, listen. I got this Twinkie and this Capri Sun if you willing to run 3 miles. Let me calculate. Those 3 miles ain't worth those 2 snacks, coach. I'm just keeping it real. Now, if there's some Portillo's on the other side of that, maybe. You feel what I'm saying? I'm just keeping it a bean with y'all. The risk ain't worth the reward. So I don't understand why TJ expects players to play riskier. Oh, prove yourself to me. Show me you want to be brought back for a future season by making a stupid move to make yourself legendary. We want to see more Joshes. It's like, TJ, what are you doing, coach? Now I understand why you keep bringing Josh back. Because he's the only one dumb enough to listen to this. So that's my problem. I don't really see TJ pressuring the Pets that much. But he's pressuring all these new players. Oh, prove yourself. Swaggy's proving himself in these competitions that lead to the tribunals. So he's the last guy you need to be asking to come down here. You need to be asking the Kyles of the world to come down there. You feel what I'm saying, coach? He needs to be asking, not even Jenna necessarily. Well, he not gonna ask Nani because she's a pet, but you see my point. He needs to be asking these other people who are kind of unproven as of late. Now, Nani did well in the competition tonight, kudos to her. She performed very well with Jordan. But see, this brings me to the whole Jordan Bailey thing again. And see, this is a true freestyle, ladies and gentlemen, so if I'm jumping all over the place, my apologies. By the way, I will be answering questions at some point later on. My problem is, at the end of the day, coach, if you really look at both sides of this truck, it was the same puzzle. It was just a different color. So for Jordan to imply because he's on the other side of it, he doesn't know what to do, that's hogwash. That's an excuse. And in my opinion, that was the excuse that production may have gave him. That way he didn't telegraph them letting him know that Wes was working with Swaley. See, I'm letting y'all know what I think now. That's the only value. But see, even that excuse don't hold much weight because like I mentioned, Jordan already had a chance to be part of the tribunal with Nani. So why is he making this about, well, Nani did this and you couldn't, Bailey. You said you could climb. You could rock climb. You can't do that, Bailey. Like, bro, do you not know that during BB20 they had a rock climbing wall and all of them were killing that shit? You feel what I'm saying? Bailey can rock climb. She can rock climb. But here's my question, Jordan. And see, here's how I know something ain't right about this fight, y'all. Why is Jordan more mad at Bailey than he is at Josh when Josh's buffoonery led to Tori not being part of the tribunal because he dropped a piece before it even started? If the entire mission statement of this week is Jordan trying to make sure Tori gets her red skull, why is he less mad at Josh, who guaranteed Tori couldn't get one unless the house picks her? Keep it a bean. Why? Well, I guess in theory the tribunal could pick her too, but well, yeah, the tribunal still could pick her. Let me not act like it's not impossible, because Nani's on the tribunal. She could work with Jordan. Production could convince both of them to do majority rules, and Jenna's part of their tribunal as well, unless Jenna volunteers to do it herself to prove herself as not a quitter. At the end of the day, it's probably going to be Tori anyway, versus a Big T. It's going to be some type of a layup, a perceived layup. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, 100%, I'm looking at this from the perspective of Jordan's energy is fluctuating in the wrong directions for me. I feel like you should be more mad about the idea of your fiance on a women's elimination week not being automatically in a tribunal. You should be more mad about that than you should ever be mad about Bailey, especially if you had a second team that clearly scored much better. So that lets me know he clearly has another problem with Bailey that he's not divulging, but he's making it about something that allows him to slide away and pit Bailey as the one who's emotionally unstable, when in reality, he came for her for no reason. Now, with that said, once again, I think Bailey shouldn't have been crying, but that's why we need to hear her side of the story. It's 3 sides to every story. His, hers, and the truth, coach. Never forget that. Never forget that. Nelson. Oh, man, we got to talk about Nelson. This man, he wasn't lying about trying to be a villain, was he? This man fooled it, and it looked like he about to scrap with Kyle at some point. I was looking at their preview, slowing stuff down. Nelson ran up on Kyle in the kitchen like, what's poppin'? You feel it, dig me? I don't know if Kyle said something about Nelson's ex. I don't know what's going on there, but if y'all don't remember, Nelson was on Dr. Phil, boy. They was using that little clout they got from X on the Beach. They was pushing that. But well, from the challenge really, because I don't think they was on X on the Beach together. Matter of fact, they could have been, because I think she came back one season. She's like the queen of X on the Beach these days. But yeah, let me go back to Nelson. So essentially, Nelson and Anissa are in this competition. I didn't really break down the competition. Let me break it down for the people that didn't watch. Let me not assume you saw everything, ladies and gentlemen. Essentially, what happens is there's a semi truck. There are pieces dangling from the side of each, from the side of one semi truck. There are two teams on both sides of it. There's a puzzle at the top, and there are 10 pieces you have to collect amongst two teammates. You have to essentially kind of Assassin's Creed kind of scaffold, but you're like tied by a rope, and the rope gets tighter the farther you get away from each other. So you kind of have to work together. Kind of like a co-op video game, if you will. You have to like kinetically work together in order to get pieces and then work your way up together. It's basically like rock climbing as a team. I think I saw an episode of Fear the Walking Dead where they were doing that, where they were like linked together by like a bungee or something, bungee cord. One person fell, the other person had to hold on, and then they had to get their footing, and then they called up to him. Well, anyway, I mentioned all this to say, to give you all the landscape of what happened in this whole Nelson and Anissa fiasco. Now, because Jenna is contemplating quitting, all of the women right now, for the most part, are being perceived as women who are losing this comp on purpose because all of them want to face against Jenna. But at the end of the day, if you really want to face Jenna that bad, why wouldn't you just win the comp? That way you can guarantee you face her. I guess they're thinking, well, if we lose, the house can pick us. But I don't get it. The more I think about it, why wouldn't you want to win the comp and guarantee you face Jenna? I don't understand. I don't understand why so many people thought so many people were trying to actually throw the comp, to be honest with you. Because we know the Red Skull doesn't really do nothing. So I think Nelson blew up too hard. And I think moving forward, it does nothing good for his game. The women already are targeting him based off of what he did to Kayla. And you've seen Kayla jumped on code and defended Anissa there. She's essentially trying to virtue signal Anissa to work with her and go, hey, we have something in common. Let's work together. We both hate Nelson. So, and it appeared Anissa felt a bit betrayed by Nelson there. I don't know if they had some sort of a pre-game deal, but it seemed like whatever Nelson was saying about her hurt her a little bit, because usually Anissa is a little bit more snappy and witty than that, and it seemed like she really didn't have a comeback for him. Either he hit too close to home and she did throw it, or she was truly blindsided by the betrayal itself. I guess we'll have to pay attention to future episodes to see how that blows over, ladies and gentlemen. But I thought it was very interesting to see Nelson just go off on her. It's never a good look to see a guy go off on a woman in any way, shape, or form. No matter what you say, you can't win. And that's why the smarter men don't act like Zachs. They don't act like Jordans, right? They play the Corey role. And that's another reason why we got to give Corey credit. I mean, Corey loses the comp. A lot of people lost the comp tonight, but Maddie lost tonight. She wasn't even mad at Corey about it. Corey's over here reaching over. He can't get to the final puzzle piece because of Maddie. Maddie's not even mad at Corey about that when she could have been part of the tribunal herself. You see what I'm saying? So I have reason to believe not only is Corey playing a good game, but Maddie also wanted to throw this comp because, in theory, you should be a little bit teed off. You should be a little bit peed off about the fact that you weren't able to become part of a tribunal. You should want to be part of a tribunal. But see, this goes back to what I said, ladies and gentlemen. I think people are over caring about being in the tribunal at this point. Unless you're someone whose gameplay is seeing so far ahead of everyone else that you want the power to create a certain boot order. Because right now, I don't know if y'all know this, but Wes revealed one of his biggest strategies of this season was to purposely target people with red skulls. So I fully expect Wes to probably, but no, Wes works very closely with Rogan. Rogan had a showmance with D. Rogan and Josh, before Wes got blindsided, were going to work very closely with Wes last season. Wes might augment his strategy a bit because Jay is gone now and Rogan has the red skull. That's something for us to look closely at. Because Wes did reveal this is his strategy, but I just don't see Wes cutting Rogan this early in the game. Mainly because he can trust Rogan more than a lot of other players. I mean, let's be real. When Asaf called out Wes in that first episode of this season, a lot of people laughed that off and thought it was funny. So all those people who laughed that off, Wes, he got a mental checkbook in his head, okay? And he's keeping track, okay? And he's depositing these thoughts, and he's gonna go ahead and cash in when the time needs to be cashed in, like a money in the bank. And when that moment comes, he gonna want all the smoke, coach. And I can't wait for that moment. So I'll be interested to see if the Kyles of the world keep that same energy when that time comes. Because when Asaph did that, a lot of players thought it was sweet. But now, look at, we like, 5 weeks down the road, and Wes has the game in a stranglehold. Okay? He's got D, he's got Rogan, he's got Swaley, he's got Bananas. Hold on, let's do a count real quick. That's 5 people right there he's got right now that have claimed him out loud. Trying to think. D brings Jenny, but Jenny, she's kind of working with Jordan and them too, though. I don't think I can count Jordan. I don't think I count Jenny. My bad. I think if you're working with Swaley, Faisal comes with that by proxy. Big T comes with that as well. So, in my opinion, he has a stranglehold over 66% of the players in the game right now, and it's strictly based off of the strength of him pivoting at the right time. So, ladies and gentlemen, those were my thoughts on tonight's episode. Now I'm here to answer some of your questions, so please put them in the description box. Shout outs to the mighty mods, coach. I see y'all was working hard tonight. Understand, ladies and gentlemen, tonight's rant was that it was a little bit of filler, okay? So, at the end of the day, hey, man, I'm making casserole out of what I had in the fridge. You feel it, dig me, coach? Because let's be real here. Tonight's episode, this is the, you know how you got a highlight tape? This was the lowlights of the season. This was by far the least action-packed episode. This is by far the least amount of strategy moved forward this episode. The least amount of drama that actually made sense this episode. And at the end of the day, a tribunal was crowned, but we got no payoff from the tribunal being crowned. So we're going into next week off of the rollover minutes, if you will, of a bad episode. So I'm hoping we don't go into next week's episode as lackluster feeling as we are right now. And that's just how we just got to look at it that way. Alex Fricks asked the question, who do you have winning this season? And see, great question, Alex. By the way, I think this is a new follower, a new a viewer. So welcome to Recency Bias Radio, coach. The person that I got winning the season right now, I got to keep it a beam with you. Wes is running stuff, but I'm picking Bananas. And the reason why I'm picking Bananas is because banana seasons that he wins, he tends to get some... The ground ball goes his way. You know what I mean? He doesn't get a bad hop on the bunt. You know what I'm saying? It's like the grass is perfectly cut for him to field. You feel what I'm saying? He never stumbles. There's no banana peels, right? The seasons where Bananas look like he's going to win usually are the seasons where someone projects themselves as a bigger target than him mid-game. We're at the midway point based off of the trailer that we got tonight, right? Bananas is one step removed from all the power because he's aligned to Wes. At the same time, he doesn't have any of all the blood because technically all he did was get everyone to get out Ashley, who was a former winner, who was a major threat to all the women. In a way, he did them an indirect favor. So you could argue Bananas has done absolutely nothing wrong. Wes hasn't done much wrong either. But I fear Wes could grow to be a bit cocky based off of the fact that if you look at the numbers, I just tried counting them. Wes has to feel right now during the game, I'm talking about how he felt as the game was happening live in his mind. He had to have believed that this was his moment, coach. You know what I'm saying? Like this is his time. And honestly, if that is your pick, I wouldn't blame you for picking Wes. But I just think Bananas is that one step removed to be able to pull off that late game sweep and to go ahead and get his money. That's what it feels like. B Grizzly has a question to be answered, please. I'm ready for it, Ghost. Let me know. Eddie James asked the question. Shout outs to Ed. Do you think Wes will target Tory because of Jordan? Well, see, that's the thing. It seems as if Jordan is going to make it his personal goal, along with Nani and possibly Jenna, I know Nani's gonna want to work with Jenna to get her red skull, so Jenna can essentially get her honor back in the eyes of TJ in production. But I think Jordan is gonna fight really hard to get his way. I don't think Nani has the backbone to truly stand pat and defend her Holy Trinity member, especially when her Holy Trinity member already contemplated quitting. I think Jordan will use this as an opportunistic moment to tell her, hey, listen, you do this for Tori, you can substitute us too for Jenna moving forward in the game. I don't think Nani's going to necessarily take that deal. I think she'll most likely go, well, how come us 5 can't work together? And to be honest, those 5 are probably already working together. Let's be honest here. But at the end of the day, you know how Jordan gets down. He only cares about what he wants. If you don't do what he wants, then you're an enemy of his. And he uses that to kind of punk you into doing what he wants. And my thing is, if he punks you into doing what he wants, are you truly working together? Can you say working together out of fear is a true partnership? I don't think so. I think it's extortion. I think it's exploitation. Yeah, long-winded answer, Eddie. But I hope you, but at the end of the day, you was asking me, do you think he would target Tori? Absolutely, I think he will target her. But I think his most important target will be Jordan first, which is why next week's episode could be interesting. Because in theory, Tori and Jordan could be eliminated in the same night. It's possible. Now, do I think production is going to allow it? I don't know. I don't know. I'm more inclined to believe in Casper the Friendly Ghost. But at the end of the day, it is what it is, coach. Okay, here comes the question. I'm in a fan group, and Jordan actually has tons of fans, so them making him the new face of the challenge is a good theory after Bananas retires. Maybe this is a reason for the favoritism towards him. Was that the question itself? Or was that just Ghost? I'm not sure. Well, clearly by them staging that proposal, I mean, let's just call it what it is, coach. Clearly by them doing that, they were trying to go ahead and pass the torch to a degree. I personally believe Paulie was the perfect person to pass the torch to from Bananas, because I think Paulie, from an all-around standpoint, I think he checks all the boxes. I mean, on average, very popular challenge players happen to be Italian. I believe Paulie's Italian. I could be wrong there, but I believe also CT and Bananas are Italian. You see where I'm going with that? At the same time, Paulie has a brother who played Big Brother. In theory, Cody could one day play the challenge. I mean, I doubt it, but I'm just saying, at the end of the day, I just think from a bloodline perspective, Paulie has all the makeup to be able to take over one day. It's not the Kyles of the world. I think Rogan possibly could as well. If I'm going to put my money on somebody moving forward, it's probably a Rogan, because production is mad at Paulie moving forward. But I definitely think for the time being, they want Jordan to carry, they want Jordan to carry the torch the same way they wanted Hakeem to carry it when Jordan retired in basketball. So I think this is like the Hakeem part of the challenge coming up. Well, actually, no, because Darrell ain't here. And let's keep it real, Darrell is Jordan. Let's keep it a bean out here. Ain't no one checking Darrell. All right, let's just stop it. All right? You feel it, dig me? Like, let's stop being overly nice. Ain't no one checking that man. You feel it, dig me? Josh is a complete joke. Hey, you said it, not me, coach. You feel it, dig me? No wonder why Zach and Jordan are best friends. They both, hey, I agree. You feel me? Look, the same way I said birds of a feather flock together when it came to Kayla and Jenna, we got to understand, Zach and Jordan, they're not, the apple don't fall far from the tree when it comes to those two guys as well. Both of them play very cowardice. They tend to pick on easy targets, scapegoat women, but when it comes to a man in their face, I don't really see them with the same bass in their voice. I mean, when Leroy decided to work with Cam and Paulie's alliance last season, I didn't really see any of them really come at Leroy crooked the way they be coming at some of these women. And that's my problem. I would have, and see, Swaggy, I want to give him credit. I think BB20 Swaggy probably interrupts that argument between Bailey and Jordan there, and he probably creates some drama between him and Jordan, then all of a sudden there's a target on Swaggy that doesn't need to be there. And Jordan even admitted, no one's coming for you, Bailey. I think he said something about, what was the quote he said? He said, chill out and be safe. I even wrote that down. That's exactly what he said, chill out and be safe. So that's Jordan's way of trying to essentially tell you what to do. But at the end of the day, coach, I think to a certain extent, though, Jordan does have a point, though. I believe if you're not being targeted, if you know you're working with Wes, if you know all of the girls don't really want to try you, Yeah, you may not have done well in the competition. Yeah, Jordan may be blaming you for it when it was his fault. I mean, you got Jordan out here saying at the end of the day, Nani did this, you should have been better at that. But if I was Bailey, the one thing that would have came out of my mouth is, hey, sucker, this your second time doing this comp. So you should have been twice as fast as getting the puzzle pieces. You should have known what the puzzle was off the dribble. You should have had the shape in your head. You should have had photographic memory. No, everybody on this show got photographic memory now. She could have easily flipped all of that back on him. So I have reason to believe she held back a lot of what she really wanted to say, and that's probably what made her emotional, knowing that, you know what, I'm new. I can't really afford to blow up on Jordan. He's an Apex production pet. They did Turbo Grimy a season ago. I got to ensure I'm a productions pet because Jenna is slipping right now. I'm catching her slipping, and her Infinity Stone will be mine shortly. I'm sure some of that was going through Bailey's mind, and for that reason, I must give her credit for being able to keep herself together somewhat. Long-winded answer. But hey, I gotta give y'all long-winded answers because tonight's episode wasn't the best. I gotta keep it a bean. Isabella, the weight class different is the key. There should be something they do to make it more easy. I think he hit his head for sure. I do not want someone's lights to be out. I agree with you, Miss Isabella, on that part. I don't want no one to be knocked out like that either. And if I came off in that way, if I came off a bit callous towards Jay, that wasn't my intention. My intention is, at the end of the day, Jay, by winning the first two comps, he showed he's a strong person, and I don't want him going out being labeled weak simply because he lost to Rogan, a strong person. Losing to someone strong doesn't make you weak. It just makes you weaker than that strong person. You see what I'm saying? And I fear if we allow Jay to be the victim too much, we take away from all he accomplished up until that moment. And that's what I don't want, and that's why I'm holding him accountable here. You feel what I'm saying? That's where I'm coming from on that. And I hope I didn't come off callous or nothing. You feel what I'm saying? And Miss Isabella, to retort and kind of play some mental gymnastics with you. I mean, Jenny last season went up against Tori in a hall brawl. I'd argue their size difference isn't that much different than Jay versus Rogan. And that was also a physical comp, and we saw Tori win that comp. Now, granted, it's a comp where you're in tight and close space, and then you have to sprint, so the smaller person may be able to get up to their highest peak of speed quicker, but that's why it is pertinent for the bigger person to lay them out, coach, so they gotta get up then sprint. Jenny took it easy on her, and that's why we had a hot take conspiracy theory that Jenny was paid off to follow her sword. But that's neither here nor there. That was last season. But my point is, if Jenny can lose that competition, and we're led to believe that was fair and square, then yeah, I believe based off of what Jay was able to accomplish in taking out ASAP and CT, he also could have figured out a way to take out Rogan there. But for him to just grab the ball and just chuck it, Look, he could have been dealing with a minor concussion. I don't know. I'm not a medical expert. But what I do know is, even if your head ain't screwed on right, you wouldn't have thrown it if your head was screwed on right. So why you gonna throw it when your head is screwed on right? Don't you know your hand-eye coordination is even worse when your head is rattled? So I just don't understand why Jay believed he could just throw it over Rogan and make some miracle. I mean, look, man, he decreased his odds of winning the competition exponentially by deciding to not rely on the one skill set he had to beat Rogan: quickness. That's just what it is. He threw it out the window, and instead he made it about dexterity and aim, and he tried to throw it over him. But if you're already hurting and aching, why would you want to rely on your arm strength? That's why I have to believe it's somewhat of a quit. You see what I'm saying? Because see, I don't want to bury Jay, okay? I might be coming off that way. That's not how I want to come off. But what I do want to come off is, if he wasn't hurt, he conceded a bit. He forfeited, kinda. If he was hurt, he went out wrong if he wanted to be viewed as someone going out on his shield. And for him to go up to production and ask them what the rules were, when you're playing in a competition that even a 2-year-old could understand. Look, I've had concussions before. I've played football, okay? I've been in fights before. Shoot, I even got a story that would knock your socks off about how I fell off my trumpet case once. But at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, my head was ringing, but I remembered a lot of key information prior to me hitting my head. Okay? So and understand, Jay had a helmet on in that situation. I didn't in those situations. So I'm not trying to make myself seem like all of a sudden I'm a bigger challenger than him. All I'm saying is at the end of the day, the way he went about implementing that strategy did not make sense if he was trying to sell an arm injury. That's what I'm saying, period. And I think my history of following the psychology of wrestling a bit is why I think this way. And I think at the end of the day, Jay didn't sell correctly. And that's my point. All right, let's get to more questions. Let's get some more questions. Hey, I'm trying to give y'all all the attention I can, Coach. You feel it, dig me? Because I truly appreciate the support y'all gave a brother on last week's episode. I feel like that rant did major numbers, and a huge reason why is because of you, the Recency Bias Radio fan base, the Recency Bias Radio family. You know what I'm saying? But okay, let's get to some more questions, Coach. I got Bananas too. He's kind of playing possum. Yeah, I agree, Alex Fritz. He's not revealing all of his cards, kind of like how Swaggy isn't and Corey isn't. But he's also one step removed from who's dealing the cards, and that's Wes. I mean, Wes is out here looking like Gambit. I mean, straight up Remy LeBeau, Coach. You feel it, dig me? That's how he looking in these streets, Coach. All he need now is one of them kinetic rods that Gambit be using, mon ami. You feel it, dig me, Coach? Okay, Mr. Hector Silva asks the question. What's going on, Mr. Hector? Oh no, I think my stuff just scrolled away from what his question was. Hold up, Hector. I'm gonna catch you. I'm gonna scroll back up for you. Hold up. Where's Hector at? Oh no. I don't know what made that do that, Coach. Ooh, wait a minute. They cut so much of the scenes. Wow. So, according to Fabrahi, I hope I'm saying your name right. It might be Fabrahi. According to this nice individual, allegedly, Jordan called Bailey the B word. Uh-oh. Woo. Hey, man. Ooh, that video gonna be good. Hey, y'all need to drop that tonight, Coach. Y'all need to drop that tonight, Swaley. We gotta know. Let me know. All right, hold up, man. Where's Hector at, Coach? Hey, Hector, can you repost your question to the bottom of the chat so I can just find you that way? I'm scrolling up and down, Coach. I feel bad because my stuff just jumped and I missed your question. Oh, Shane was the person, Matthew Billingsley. Thank you. The person who was involved in the triple threat match, essentially, with Corey and Nelson from earlier in the rant. Thank you for clearing that up for me, my good sir. Miss Jacqueline Williams asked the question, why didn't Jordan pick Tori to be part of the tribunal? Jenna did not deserve it. Well, I think because he has a pregame alliance with Nani, Nani's part of the Holy Trinity Alliance, I think Jordan made it his personal goal to try to appease Nani by allowing her to pick her friend for the tribunal. But at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, let's keep it a bean. Jordan doesn't really want Tori safe. He would want her part of the tribunal just so she could choose who she faces. But since we don't know who the house will pick, it is a bit risky to a degree, and that might be why Jordan allowed Jenna to be picked. In his mind, he might believe, hey, if I allow her to pick Jenna for the tribunal, she'll allow me to pick my fiance as one of the three to be cross-examined by the tribunal. And maybe I'll have my way with Nani by the end because Jenna will reinforce to Nani that she doesn't want to quit. But at the same time, she doesn't want to risk her game this early because she does want to keep playing. And then that will allow him to go ahead and say, well, okay, I got an alternative. Enter Tori. I think that could be a strong indicator of what could happen next week, ladies and gentlemen. But let me go to the bottom and see if Hector reposted that comment, Coach. Hold up. Yes, he did. There we go. Thank you, Hector. Sorry about that, Coach. Hector Silva asked the question, do you believe Corey will get far this season? Maybe win. He seems to have a very good strategy and he is more focused. I agree with you, Hector. You know, we've seen Corey in the past play so badly. And I was still a fan of his game even back then because, once again, if you see certain tools that could get the job done if the mental catches up with the physical, then at the end of the day, you want to be part of that journey to see them eventually capture it. And in Corey's case, he is well on his way if he continuously plays this type of a game moving forward. But that's the tough part about playing these type of games all the time, right? Eventually, production is going to figure out a way to cast certain people to make sure you can't play this way all the time. So their favorites can keep playing this way. Corey has figured out a way how to play this way. I think he's been around these players long enough to, oh, that's what y'all are doing. And Corey's been around for enough years to where he's so far removed from being a newcomer to where he can blend in with the vets, blend in with the newcomers. He can relate to both and what they're dealing with, the plight of each's strategic win conditions. And because of that, it's allowing him a lot of pivoting prowess. And I think for Corey moving forward, he is in a fantastic position. Now, the question is, if the four people I think that are right now on top of things are Wes, Bananas, Corey, and Swaggy, something has to be done in order for Wes and Bananas to lose their piece off the top. One of them has to be taken out first, in theory, for anyone underneath them to gain any ground into that top four. Because, well, no, let me take that back. Because in theory, if those two stay and they're able to pick off one of the other two, easily Rogan just steps in. But the thing is, though, Rogan's claim to this season's throne isn't as strong as a Corey or a Swaggy based off of what he's done so far. Because while I'll give him credit for taking out Jay, he still only took out Jay. And because Jay didn't go out swinging all the way, it kind of is one of them wins where I think even Rogan doesn't feel like he really earned it all the way. You know, when you're a true competitor, you don't want to win like that. You want to completely defeat your opponent. And don't get it twisted, he mentally defeated Jay, you know. And see, and I feel like a lot of people forgot about all the stuff Jay was talking, but I'm not going to rehash that. Let's get to answering more questions. But yeah, I think Corey definitely has a strong chance. It's going to come down to if he does make that final, he's got to be smart when it comes to the puzzles. That's the part that has always stumped Corey. And see, the reason why the legend of Corey was so strong initially wasn't it like the first 2 seasons he was on, he made 2 straight finals or something like that? But each time he kept getting stumped by the puzzle part. It wasn't the athletic part. I think it was the puzzle part each time. Because I think he made a final once with his cousin. By the way, I think his cousin's name was Mitch or something like that. I think Mitch deserves to come back on this show, by the way. I think a lot of people could argue Mitch was one of the most surprisingly cool characters of the show. You know, and Mitch doesn't get enough credit for helping Corey get to where they got to that season as well. And I believe that's his name. Correct me if I'm wrong, Coach. But yeah, that's my answer to you, Hector Silva. Thank you for commenting again, Coach. I try to get to everybody when I have the chance. All right, let's scroll up and see if I missed anybody. Do you think Maddie is laying... Alex Fritz, once again, asked the question. Do you think Maddie is laying low because her and Jenny are easily the strongest girls? Because I don't think she's just going to get voted into elimination. I definitely think Maddie is laying low. Maddie has always been a huge threat from a women's standpoint. The same way I will admit that someone like Jenna has Laurel-esque potential. Maddie clearly has Laurel-esque potential. Okay? When Maddie first came on this show, let's be honest, she wasn't in her best shape. Then all of a sudden, she got in fantastic shape. I think that was World Awards 1, where she wasn't in good enough shape to finish the final. And I think ever since that moment, she's pretty much been focused. And I think that's her only hurdle really now is mental, now that she's gotten the physical part out of the way. I think she's definitely trying her best to lay low. I think Maddie knows at the end of the day, there is no real woman she should fear 1v1. But at the same time, once again, the Red Skull twist is a cosmetic placebo effect twist. It does nothing for you. So while I would love to say, hey guys, I want a competition, it's not a power of veto. It's not an immunity idol. It's nothing. It's just some paint on a helmet. And at the end of the day, if the paint is the same value, whether you get it now or in a few weeks, I'm in no rush to get the paint. And that's just the truth of it all. And that's why I really wish, because right now this looks like the halfway point. If we were going to get any change to this Red Skull twist, trust me, production would have been very wise to show TJ announcing there's a change to the rules. Blah, 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 blah. We would have got something like that in that mid-season finale, that mid-season trailer. The fact that we didn't get nothing showing that there will be a change to this twist is a terrible sign moving forward. Because it means all signs point towards more conservative play until the end of this season. And don't get the game twisted. I'm not saying this season is bad. I'm just saying we all saw endless potential for it. endless potential, and we're just a bit disappointed because what we were marketed isn't what we're getting. It was false advertisement. And that's just what it is. Jay got hella fans in the fan page. I'm in pretty much everyone in the fan group. Hates Rogan and loves Jay. Hey, look, man, you're entitled to your opinion. I don't have no problem with Jay. I like Jay and Rogan. I don't see anything wrong with liking both of them. I don't see nothing wrong with liking both of them. I like Bananas. I like Corey. You see what I'm saying? Like people think just because I feel a certain type of way about Josh that I'm a type of person, oh, I'm either black or white. Oh, if you don't like that person, I don't like them either. I've never been that bandwagony. It all comes down to how you play the game with me. If you play the game like an idiot, I'm sorry. I can't support that at all. Because I want to see, because I've always been a huge proponent of superfans playing the game that they love because the passion will ooze out on the screen. And we're seeing a lot more passion because we got a lot more new fresh blood put into this season. And that's why, in my opinion, it had so much endless potential. But unfortunately, we're not being able to grasp it just yet. And that's unfortunate. But let's get into more questions, Coach. Sounds about right. Cohutta was a good I remember Cohutta, man. Short guy, but really, really tough, man. Really tough. Do you think they will invite... Oh, Nagate Ali asked the question. Do you think they will invite Paulie back on the challenge? Look, man, the built-in excuse is, oh, well, he didn't pass our psych evaluation. Hey, man, listen. If Josh can pass your psych evaluation, but Paulie can't, listen, bruh, that evaluation rigged, bruh. It's rigged. Y'all acting like this the Wonder Lake test for the NFL or something, Coach. I need a new test. I need y'all to do a new test, because that's flawed. If Josh is passing it, and this dude has so many delusions, okay? He got all these delusions, but he can pass a psych test. But Paulie, the man who completely bodied so many vets last season, had a vet by his side every step of the way, got another vet to go against an alliance he never would have if Cam wasn't there, to get Cam to get him to do that, to get all of those people to come together. For you to tell me that guy can't pass a psych evaluation when he played one of the most impressive strategic games we've ever seen, ladies and gentlemen, that's just nonsense to me. That's just nonsense to me. Because if he ain't passing a psych evaluation, that says a lot about everyone else. So, ladies and gentlemen, those were my thoughts, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to hold you any longer. This was season 35, episode 6's recap, entitled, What Are the Rules, ladies and gentlemen? And I am, of course, Dave Smith with Recency Bias Radio, where no one is safe from criticism. If you could, please like, share, and subscribe. And on the right side of my channel's page, ding! Click on that bell. That way you could be here with the most lit live chat in the Challenge Total Madness history. Bar none, ladies and gentlemen. I truly appreciate all of y'all for coming through live, and I definitely appreciate how this community is growing slowly but surely. RBR is definitely creating a foothold in the Challenge community slowly but surely. But I hope all of you all stay safe, stay smooth, and until next time, deuces.